Hey guys, welcome back to Chapter 1 and Beyond. Today's episode is with my brand new microphone. So hopefully this is a little bit better in audio quality. I have this condenser screen now, which I'm still getting used to. But I feel like I don't have to talk as loud, and the quality of the audio clips that I've been testing with is just so crisp. So let me know what you guys think of this audio quality now. Hopefully it is better. But today's episode is going to be a monthly reading wrap up slash changing my mind on things. Um, so it's gonna be like a little bit of an update thing. So I'm just gonna dive right into this, to be quite honest with you, because honestly there's no need for intros when it comes to this particular episode. Um it's just gonna be a lot of updating and just overall um talking about more plans and kind of announcements, if you will. So for June, I cannot believe we're already in July. This is just pure insanity. It is actually my birthday month, so yeah, gonna be doing some fun stuff going into this month, but a little treat to myself was getting this microphone with the condenser screen. So yay, happy birthday to me. So um but yeah, so June looked like 14 total books for the month. One was a DNF. I had 7 5-star rated books, 3 4-star rated books, 0 3-star rated books, and then 3 2-star rated books. And I think, it was a pretty good month, I'm not gonna lie. I had a lot of combined reads where I was listening to the audiobook or following along with the audiobook with my physical book. I also had moments where I was switching back and forth. So I kind of changed up my spreadsheet a little bit to um reflect that kind of reading, because before it was either it's a physical read or it was an audiobook. So even if I was physically reading, it was still getting combined into that audiobook or physical read, which was not directly reflecting what I truly was doing. So the books, I'm gonna kind of go in order, because what I did was I went from um earliest date to latest date of finish time. So it's not necessarily in order of when I started the book. And then I'll let you know what the star rating was, whether it was a series or a standalone, or if I was finishing up a series. And I'll let you guys know about that. So, the first book that I had finished in June was The Cat Who Saved Books by Sasuke Natsukawa, I believe is the name. I did finish this via audiobook via the Libby app. I gave this a solid 5-star rating. Just because of the fact that it was the cutest book and I absolutely enjoyed this book so much. And the fact that I found out it was a duology, you're gonna not be surprised by the next book that is on this list. So I did give this a 5-star rated review. This was a new book for me and it was a series start. But I finished this book in 3 days. And I did get this off of my library TBR. The second book that I finished in June was The Cat Who Saved the Library by, you guessed it, Sasuke Natsukawa. And this was a 6-hour audiobook. Gave this again a 5-star rating. I listened to it via the Libby app, and it was the series finisher for this duology. I have to say, the narrator that was for both of these books was absolutely fantastic. Not gonna lie, I really enjoyed it from start to finish. I really like Tiger, which is the cat in this book. And Just overall, I loved it. I didn't think, like, the second book was repetitive, um, because, like, it kinda had a similar idea to the first book, but it had a totally different character kinda, as the main character. So, that was really interesting and fun, in a way, but honestly, with this book, I actually influenced my daughter to read this, and actually, I was really surprised because I found out that, I thought it was an adult, like, book, genre book, but it's kind of like that borderline, of, like, adult or young adult. So, because it does feature a young girl as one of the main characters in the second book, so she really loved seeing the cat on the cover, and because I got this from the library, she was like, "I have to read this book." So so now she's reading it, and, I'm helping her with the words because she's about to be in middle school, so she's still trying to navigate her way of the world with chapter books, but so that was the second book that I had done. The third book that I had done in June was The Cabin at the End of the World by Paul Tremblay. This was a 281 page book that I kind of did a combo read for. I gave this a 2-star rating, and the reason why I gave this a 2-star rating was I had no closure with the ending of this book. I was so frustrated and pissed off with this book that I just personally felt in my gut I almost wanted to give it a 1-star rating. I almost DNF'd this book altogether. I pushed to the end because, like, I just felt like there was some hope with this book, but it was just the most messed up book that I think I've read, when it comes to, like, psychological thrillers and things like that. And actually it was considered, I think, horror at one point too. But, it was terrifying. Like, I was just like, "What in the crap am I reading?" So, this was a combination read. I did, like, get this from the library because I wanted to see because, like, I've read Paul Tremblay in the past. So, I've read, um, How to Make a Horror Story or Horror Movie. That was the one that I had read, and I really, really enjoyed it. It was very gory, but it was like classic, like thrasher type, like style. Not to give any spoilers away with that, but honestly, this one, like, I had so much more, like, kind of drive to, like, see what happens with this one, and I was like, I feel like I've gotten 0 answers to my questions with this. So so yeah, so unfortunately, I did give this a 2-star rating. I did finish this in 4 days. And by the way, that other book, I didn't tell you this, The Cat Who Saved the Library, I finished that in a single day. Like, I binge listened to that book so fast, and it was so good. But yeah. So, let's just keep moving along here. So the one that I unfortunately ended up DNFing is The Hollow Heart by Marie Rakoski. I was really looking forward to this book, and I have to say, I was um, I was so frustrated with myself when I DNF'd this book because I was so torn. I really enjoyed the first installment. I loved it from start to finish. Like, I really liked the idea of it. But as soon as I started getting into the second book, it was like 25% of the way through. I was like, this is really not vibing with me. I'm not finding this to be enjoyable. Like, I just was really bored, is what I was. So I did end up DNFing it about 25% of the way through. I did unhaul it out of my bookshelf on top of it, so it did go to a free little library. Um, but yeah, unfortunately, this was my one DNF, unfortunately. Um, and the great thing is that even if I choose to go in way, way in the future and maybe pick this back up, which I don't really know if I will, to be quite honest with you. Um, I can always get it through the Libby app in the library because they always have a copy available. So yeah. Um, so yeah. The next book that is on my list is V for Vendetta. Um, I believe it is by Alan Moore. It was a 288-page graphic novel that I got through the library, and I gave this a solid 4-star rating. There was no audiobook. This is a standalone graphic novel, and I really enjoyed a lot of the artwork that was throughout this graphic novel. The illustrator did a fantastic job because, like, I've read quite a few, like, graphic novels, but this one in particular just had that, like, the edges and, like, the blurbs and, like, being able to, like, kind of flow through the storyline and, like, just how the characters interact with each other throughout each of the frames. It was just perfect. Like, if you're looking for a quick, I mean, it wasn't exactly quick, but, uh if you're looking for a decent starter to graphic novels, I definitely recommend V for Vendetta. Um, and I was really surprised because I've actually seen the movie before I read the graphic novel, and it was very on point with what happened in sequential order with the movie. So, um, yeah, I mean, I finished it in about 6 days. So, I mean, I do tend to read a little bit slower when I don't have an audiobook to follow along with, but, yeah, for the most part, it worked beautifully. So, definitely recommend. Um, who doesn't like a vigilante that, like, rises up against the corrupt, like, government, type story? So, um, so yeah, so definitely enjoyed that one. All right. So the next book that I have to mention to you guys is Before the Devil Breaks You by Libba Bray. This is a 560-page book that I finished in June. Um, it was kind of like a combination read, but it was like to continue this series. And this was the third installment in the Diviner series, and solidly I couldn't give it less than 5 stars. Like, this book was by far my favorite installment of the Diviner series. I'm very devastated by the loss that happened in this particular series, like, at least this installment. This is my first time reading this series. I never really read it, like, at a younger age, or like when it first came out, which is like 2017 esque. So I mean, it's about to be like 10 years old by next year. So yeah, honestly, it might be older than that. I'm just being, like, kind of estimating and not really looking at my hardcover app right now. But yeah, I definitely finished this one fairly quick. I finished this one in 5 days, and just honestly, I really, really, really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. Like, I'm a little nervous going into the King of Crows. I'm not gonna lie, but you know, we will see how it goes. Um, okay, so moving along with our titles here. So the next one that I finished in June was the Dungeon Anarchist Cookbook by Matt Dittman. And oh my god, did it take me forever to read this book. So this was a 500 some odd page book. I gave it a 5-star rating. I do not have access to the Audible audiobooks. Everyone keeps telling me I need to get these audiobooks. I have sworn up and down that this particular series, I wanted to at least do the first run through with my own physical reading, which is why it takes me so long. I actually started this book back in March 1st. March 1st, and I finished this one June 20th. It took me 112 total days to read this book. Um, which might not necessarily be fully true, but that was the duration of when I had picked up and started the book and had put down, like, the last page. So, and this is the 3rd in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. So, everybody talks about this series. I don't have to tell you anything about it because at this point, everyone and their mother has probably heard of this series, and, it was fantastic. I was a little overwhelmed with trains, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little bored with, learning all the different types of trains and how they kinda maneuver on the track and stuff like that. I hate to be the spoiler of that, but, everybody that's read that installment has said the same thing, so I feel like I'm not really spoiling anything at this point. But, yeah. So it was a lot of trains, and it was a lot. But there was a lot that got unpacked with the Anarchist cookbook. So, but did I still love it? Yes. Do I still want to be part of Team Princess Donut? Absolutely. Um, so so yeah, so there's that. The next book that is on this list was a combined read. It is a standalone, and it was Stephen King's It. Um, so this audiobook was 45 hours. Yes, you heard me. 45 hours. And this was just over 1,000 pages in length. Um, because I did an audiobook, it took me about 13-ish days to finish this book in particular. And my God, it was just so terrifying. Like, this book is terrifying. I I have like a fear with drain pipes now, and I am even more creeped out by clowns now. And just like I've already shared like a lot of my thoughts of like some of the scenes and language use, but overall, like I really did enjoy this one. I gave it a 4-star rating, and honestly, I'm glad that I read it. I do physically own this copy, which is nice. So, um, I don't know if I would ever reread it though, but I mean, it's classic Stephen King, so I gotta have it on my shelf. So yeah. Um, okay. And then let's see, I have about maybe like 6 more books to mention. Two, yeah, 6 more books to mention, so I'm gonna keep moving along here. So the next one is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. This was a 10-hour audiobook that I listened to in June. I gave it a 5-star rating, and I finished within one single day. This book was also, like, kind of edgy and terrifying because it was, like, if you're kind of, like, into genetics and like science and things like that, there was like a little terrifying spin on genetic altering, and like it was good. It was very good. I could not put this audiobook down. Like I had to keep listening to it from the start that I had started in the morning, and literally just kept going for the entire day. And that was like one of the days that I think I like worked like almost 10, 12 hours. It was insane. But it was such a great listen. The audiobook narrator was fantastic. Just overall, like, I really love Blake Crouch. Like, he just does something so unique within this sci-fi space, and the fact that he can kind of unravel these plot twists like he does, it's fantastic. I definitely recommend if you're looking for a Blake Crouch like intro. I feel like Upgrade or like even Dark Matter is a great intro to his writing style and just overall like getting involved with him. So definitely recommend his books. Like you definitely should check them out, especially if you're looking for a different kind of sci-fi like type book. Um Okay. And then the next book that I had read is a nonfiction, and this was Eat and Run: My Unlikely Journey to Ultramarathoning by Scott jerk. It was an 8-hour audiobook, but I do physically own a copy of the book on my shelf. And it's relatively around like 220 pages esque. Um, but I did like listen to this on audiobook in one single day. I really, I don't know, like I gave it a 2-star rating. And, the reason why I had done that is, like, there was, like, this massive mention of the guy's food, and he does mention, like, his overall journey with, like, racing and preparing and his relationships with, like, different runners and the coaches and things like that, but, just I don't know, I was really like, "Okay, guy, I don't really wanna know what bean burrito or bean salad you're eating today," because he was, like, kind of, like, talking about, like, his plant-based or raw vegan journey. I don't know. It was interesting, to say the least, but, it wasn't something that I was kind of vibing with, unfortunately, so yeah, I mean, I'm glad I read it. It was a one and done type read for me, to be quite honest with you. And yeah, just overall, it was just interesting because, fun fact, I used to do like 10Ks, half marathons. I used to do 5Ks, and I kind of fallen out of that. Like, I mean, I wish I could, but, I just don't really have the seriousness and, like, time to, be able to put into committing to, like, training and properly training, and, you know, I mean, it puts a lot on your body, so I totally get what the guy's message was, but, like, I saw how crazy some of these people are even at marathoning, let alone ultra marathoning. I could never see myself doing that. Not to my body. No, thank you. So, I mean, I'm glad I read it. It sounds like the guy like is pretty incredible. Like the fact that he was, like he talked about like his journey with his parents and his mom and his siblings and kind of growing up into like running and sports and things like that. And it was really cool to see like kind of like that journey that he kind of takes you on within his book. So I do recommend if you're like looking for a nonfiction, at least give it a whirl, but kind of go in knowing that there's a lot of mentions with food and it does get really repetitive fast. Um, okay. So yeah, that one I did finish within a single day. I don't know if I mentioned that. The next book that I finished was The Starless Sea by Aaron Morgenstern. This is was a combined read. So this is a pretty lengthy book. I think it was like 300 or 400 pages, but the audiobook was around 19 hours. I gave this solidly a 5-star rating. I absolutely loved this book from start to finish. I absolutely loved that there was like this internal book that was mentioned throughout. It was like a nice breakup between like the story and just like the adventure as a whole. It was very whimsical and very magical and very amazing with the storytelling, like fantastic writing. Um, I finished this book in 9 days, and I definitely recommend if you are looking for something with like really whimsical, magical, like adventure storytelling. Like there was like a lot of like interconnected like stories happening, so you have to really, really pay attention to what is being mentioned, but the narrator of the audiobook really helped me along, and the artwork that is on the titles of each of the chapters and the different sections, it is absolutely beautiful, fantastic. I am keeping this book forever. And if I ever come across like a special edition of this book, I definitely want it. Um, but like the normal edition that I personally have that I was like kind of flipping through and like listening along, definitely like hands down was amazing. So, definitely recommend if you're looking for something in fantasy realm. The next book that I read was The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. So, guys, I have a little bit of a confession. I had said that I read this like months ago. I found out because I was re listening through a lot of my podcast episodes because I'm really trying my best to like tweak and become a little bit more refined with how I deliver like my reviews and just overall trying to better myself. And I realized that I had preemptively recorded some like a segment of like, you know, claiming that I read this book. And I was looking at my hardcover and I'm like, why isn't it logged? Because usually what I'll do is I'll have it in progress. And I realized that somehow I had thought I read the book or I had preemptively recorded, and I didn't finish the book like I had promised myself. So I apologize for that. That has never, ever, ever happened. Because usually, if I know that I never finish the book, because I try to preemptively get the clips ready to go before I release an episode, because it just helps me with like kind of speeding along the editing process. And I double check and triple check to make sure that I have actually finished the book before I release the clip, though. And this time, unfortunately, that was not the case. So, but I can officially say in June of 2026, I did finish this book. I did give it a 5-star rating because I absolutely love this book. I know in the past I have DNF'd this book because I was just not in the right mood, and I realized that you really do have to be in a right mood in order to read this book. Um, this is like a cozy fantasy. It's not like that epic adventure, stakes are high type fantasy where everything's falling apart and there's like the protagonist trying to fight the villains and save the world. It's not that type of fantasy. I can tell you that right now. Um, did I crave a cinnamon roll and some jams after this book? Yes, I did. And I mentioned that on my hardcover app review too, which is really funny. So if anybody is following me on hardcover, be prepared for some very humorous book reviews that I type up as I go, because that is exactly what I said. Well, now I'm craving a cinnamon roll, or oh, now I'm craving a jam. Because yeah, there was like a lot of mention of like jams and just you get like that real atmospheric, whimsical, cozy fantasy like with this one. And who doesn't like magical, items throughout the house, and being able to have a companion in that. So Sarah Beth Durst, man, I don't know. Like, I thought that this was a standalone, and it's actually a series. So now I'm determined to try to find the rest of these books so that I can find out like what the next few installments look like, because I guess apparently there's several of them out. So I did finish this one in 2 days. The Starless Sea, I don't know if I mentioned this, I apologize. Trying to keep to this format. I finished that one in 9 days. So um all right. So the next one that I finished is The Sumerian by J.R.R. Tolkien. This was a combined read of like audiobook versus like my physical copy. I did finish this one in 3 days and I gave it a 4-star rating. I love J.R.R. Tolkien. Like, I love The Hobbit. I love the Lord of the Rings movies. I am the diehard that will watch the extended version of the Lord of the Rings series. And it's only because I really, really, really love, like, the world that he built with this, and the characters, and the elves, and the dwarves, and, like, it just beautiful. It's classic high fantasy, what is exactly what got me sucked into this journey of, the genre, and I know a lot of people mention Brandon Sanderson as, like, a beginner to high fantasy. I hate to say it, guys, you guys really need to check out J.R.R. Tolkien or Robert Jordan's, like, series before checking out Brandon Sanderson. The only reason why I say this is because I feel like J.R.R. Tolkien is really like the grandfather of, high fantasy. And I could be wrong on this, but it feels like it, Like he just has so much creativity into, the books that he wrote and just overall, like the overall maps and the epicness of the journey and just so incredible. It's inspiring to me because, like, I am trying to write a fantasy. It's very, very slow progress, let me tell you, but, I have locked in, like, if I'm gonna do high fantasy versus urban fantasy versus, the subgenres in fantasy, but, I am doing a high fantasy, series, and, like I said, it's very slow progress, but the amount of detail this man put into the Sumerian, and even into the Lord of the Rings series, etc., like, it's just so thought out, it's so, like, planned out and methodical is what I was trying to say before I started stuttering. Apologies for that, I'm working on that as well, but yeah, like, just really, really love it. I know that some people, like, either love it or they hate it, but honestly, for me, it's hands down, like, exactly what I look for. I thought the Sumerian was based off of just the elves, and it's actually the first and second ages of the world. So you get a glimpse of the elves, the dwarves, they even mention the hobbits throughout the book, and, actually we get tied in with some of the characters that are mentioned in The Hobbit in The Lord of the Rings. So the trilogy is what I'm mentioning. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was a really great month, and I'm just now seeing that another title was added onto my June list. So it was actually 13 books total in June. Sorry. Yeah, 13 total books and 1 DNF. So I finished 12 books in June, which is fantastic. It is great. Like I'm loving, like cuz last month I finished 19 books, which was like sorry, not last month. May I finished 19 books. And then June I finished 12 or yeah, yeah, because 1 DNF, so right now my list is showing 14, it's really 13, but with the DNF that I did, it's actually 12, so not too bad. I mean, seriously, we're chopping off a lot of these books off of the list. Now, the next thing I want to mention, and I'm only going to be brief about it because I'm actually working on another episode for you guys. So I know I swore up and down that I wasn't going to do HRCYED 3.0. Some of you guys really twisted my arm, and I am going to end up doing the Ain't Nobody Got Time version of the HRCYED 3.0. So stay tuned for some episodes on how I've been kind of planning out, because like basically I'm planning it out as if I'm doing like the gamified or the regular version, so kind of like a combination of both, and then obviously kind of going in thinking, okay, well, if I can at least finish one from each genre like prompt, at least I've actually accomplished something this time. Because like last time I stressed myself out so bad. It was bad. I mean, like I was so bummed out that I didn't black out the screen. I was stressing out because I kept missing the new releases. I kept stressing out because I wasn't submitting my stuff on time. So the fact that she's got like a pure customization this time, and it just seems like it's going to be a little bit more simplified when it comes to reporting the titles. That's going to be very, very nice. So kind of going in knowing that I'm just going to do the Ain't Nobody Got Time version, but kind of planning if I'm going to attempt to do like the gamified full version, if you will. So, but I think I'm going to wrap this episode up here. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this new audio quality. I want to make sure that you guys are still enjoying these episodes, and if you guys like the new audio quality. But yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will see you and catch you guys in the next episode. Take care. Bye.